Imagine this. Canada and the United States, two of the world's closest allies, get locked in a trade war. Who wins? According to Ontario's Premier Doug Ford, the answer is not Canada or the United States. It's China. While we are busy weakening each other, the real victor could be the very nation both countries are trying to compete against. Shocking, isn't it? Let's break down how a trade war might end up benefiting China while hurting everyone else. In the wake of Donald Trump's fiery rhetoric about Canada taking advantage of the United States, tensions between these two economic powerhouses are heating up. Tariff threats, accusations of unfair trade, and political grandstanding dominate the headlines. And in the middle of this storm, Doug Ford drops a bombshell. Only China wins in a trade war between Canada and the US. His comment is not just political theater. It's a stark reminder of how interconnected the global economy truly is. A trade war does not just hurt the two nations involved. It creates a ripple effect that shifts economic power to other players. And in this case, that player is China. Ford's statement reflects a harsh reality. The North American economies are deeply intertwined. Canada is the largest trading partner for 32 US states, while Ontario alone accounts for a massive share of US-Canada trade. Disrupting this relationship would hurt businesses, jobs, and industries on both sides of the border. But here is the twist. While Canada and the US grapple with tariffs and trade barriers, China is waiting in the wings to exploit the chaos. Why? Because a divided North America weakens its ability to compete on a global stage. Here is how this plays out. North America's supply chains are a well-oiled machine. Raw materials, parts, and finished goods flow seamlessly across borders to create everything from cars to computers. Tariffs disrupt this flow, making production costlier and less efficient. China, on the other hand, has the capacity to fill the gaps. Need cheaper parts? Chinese manufacturers are ready to step in. Struggling with higher costs? Chinese goods offer an affordable alternatives. In a trade war, North America's loss is China's gain. Canada is America's largest supplier of energy, including crude oil, natural gas, and electricity. Tariffs on these critical resources would drive up costs for American consumers and businesses. Who stands to benefit? China. China has been aggressively investing in energy partnerships worldwide, from Africa to the Middle East. As North America squabbles, China strengthens its energy security, making it less reliant on imports from adversarial nations. In the long run, this puts North America at a strategic disadvantage. Trade diversion helps China. When Canada and the US impose tariffs on each other, they are essentially pushing their trade partners to look elsewhere. China, with its massive manufacturing base and strategic trade agreements, is the obvious alternative. For example, Canadian farmers who face US tariffs on their agricultural products might turn to Chinese markets instead. Similarly, American businesses hit with the higher cost might increase imports from China. The result? Both countries become more dependent on Chinese trade. Political divisions weaken global influence. A trade war does not just hurt economies, it fractures alliances. Canada and the US have historically worked together to counterbalance China's growing influence. A rift between these two allies weakens their ability to present a united front on issues like intellectual property theft, human rights abuses, and unfair trade practices. While North America bickers, China capitalizes on the lack of cohesion to expand its Belt and Road initiatives, dominate emerging markets, and reshape global trade rules in its favor. Ford's warning is clear. Divided we fall. Ford is not just speaking as Ontario's premier. He's speaking as the leader of a province deeply tied to the US trade. Ontario accounts for 40% of Canada's GDP and relies heavily on exports to the US. A trade war could devastate industries like auto manufacturing, agriculture, and technology, leading to massive job losses and economic decline. Ford's concerns are grounded in real numbers. In Ontario alone, up to 500,000 jobs are tied to trade with the US. If tariffs escalate, these jobs are at risk. And it's not just Canadians who will suffer. American industries that rely on Canadian imports, like car manufacturing and construction companies, will feel the pain too. Canada's response. So, what can Canada do to protect itself? Ford has called for a united front, urging Canadians to rally behind their industries and workers. But this is not just about solidarity, it's about strategy. Here is how Canada can fight back. Diversify trade partners. Canada has started expanding its trade relationships through agreements like CETA with the EU and the CPTPP with Pacific nations. These partnerships reduce reliance on the US and opens up new markets for Canadian goods. Retaliatory tariffs. In previous disputes, Canada has imposed targeted tariffs on the US goods to pressure American lawmakers. This approach could be used again, but with careful consideration to minimize domestic impact. Energy leverage. As a major energy supplier, Canada holds significant bargaining power. Restricting energy exports to the US would hurt American consumers and businesses, forcing a reconsideration of trade policies. Strengthen domestic industries. Investing in innovation, technology, and infrastructure can make Canadian industries more competitive globally, reducing the impact of trade disruptions with the US. What's at stake? At the heart of this is a question of values, cooperation versus conflict. Canada and the US shares the longest undefended border in the world, a testament to decades of peace and collaboration. A trade war risks undermining this relationship, replacing mutual benefits with mutual harm. And let's not forget the human impact. Higher tariffs means higher prices for consumers, fewer jobs for workers, and greater uncertainty for businesses. This is not just an economic issue, it's a quality of life issue. The bigger picture. Ford's warning about China is not just a cautionary tale for Canada and the US. It's a wake-up call for the world. Trade wars create winners and losers, but the ultimate loser is often global stability. In an interconnected economy, the ripple effects of conflicts are felt everywhere. As China continues to expand its influence, North America's unity is more important than ever before. Together, Canada and the US can compete with China's economic power. Divided, they are easy targets for a country that excels at exploiting weaknesses. Conclusion. The real question is, only China wins in a trade war between Canada and the US is not just a headline. It's a reality check. It's a reminder that in today's global economy, collaboration is more powerful than conflict. Canada and the US must remember their shared history, shared values, and shared goals if they want to fight China. Because if they don't, China will be more than happy to take the win. So, what do you think? Can Canada and the US avoid a trade war and focus on cooperation? Or are we headed for a showdown that could reshape global power dynamics? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insight into the issue that matters most. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.